Okay, let's continue this post-surgery recovery series. After acoustic neuroma surgery, big tumor about the size of a golf ball. So last time I talked about the first few weeks at home after coming home from the hospital. So this time I'm talking about the weeks and months following that, up to maybe almost a year out of surgery. This was a long recovery, for sure. And yeah, slow in certain ways, fast in others. So let's dive in. One of the ways that recovery was fast was learning how to walk again, and being able to move around relatively quick. That I was able to walk again. My balance issues got way better. Vertigo, way better, until it was gone. I would say that only lasted a few weeks, those attacks. So I would go for, walks around the neighborhood. That was a big part of early recovery. Because other than that, I was sitting around, lying around, and not really reading, but I think I was watching some shows or playing some video games, doing stuff where I didn't need to move too much, and where I could also a little bit zone out and not just be in the sometimes depressing world of brain surgery recovery. And it was pretty depressing. Because I mentioned in previous videos that half my face was paralyzed after surgery, and I was deaf in one ear after surgery. Those two things were major. I also had, headaches and stuff, but that wasn't as bad. The physical pain was not as bad as the emotional impact of these life changes, and the worry, anxiety that they would not come back. And I think they were both bad, but probably the worst of the two was the face, because it came along with such feelings of dread that I would never be able to move my face again. And even that it would start drooping, which is what happens if those nerves don't come back. And that is tough. That's really tough. So very worried. Until I was less worried after I visited the neurosurgeon. So for follow-up, first one I think, maybe at 4 weeks, 6 weeks. We arrived there, big hospital, big fancy hospital, very busy. And this guy, the surgeon, comes out into the waiting room for 5 seconds to just look at my face. To just look at me. And he said, "It will come back." And I was elated. I was so relieved. He had taken one look and had seen that there was no drooping. There was no loss of muscle tone. Which apparently was a sign that those nerves were active and just needed time to kind of rebuild, reactivate. So then, he told me that everything was going great. Being half deaf is not a bad result for him. He cares about getting all the tumor out. He really wanted to get it all out, and it seems like he did. I've had no tumor regrowth in 20-some years. So, looking back on it, I think the surgeon, even though they were aggressive with this tumor, it was big, but they wanted to take it all out because I was young, and so they did. And I am actually happy about that. Even though it impacted my face, I'm happy that I haven't had to deal with regrowth, which some people who have this tumor for sure do have to deal with that. I've heard stories, people I know. And yeah, I'm very happy about that. But so after that meeting, you know, I remember him telling me too, like, just like I asked him, like, what should I do? What can I not do? And he was just like, live a healthy lifestyle. I love that. He was like, yeah, live a healthy, like, go for it. You know, be careful, but, you know. And so that made me feel a lot better about my face. It was still so hard to work on it, though, because of course they give you exercises to do and stuff. It was so hard to do because, like, you had to practice. I had to practice smiling, and, like, right now I can smile you know, normally. It's like a half smile, but before it was, I could just move one side, so my smile was like just that. You know what I mean? And you're supposed to do it in front of the mirror. So I was just like, I could barely do it because it was depressing. It was so hard to face that this was it. Like, this is what I had to do. Maybe it wouldn't come back all the way, which in reality it did not come back all the way. You know, this is hard for a 21-year-old guy. Really hard recovering from brain surgery. Hard dealing with it. So, but it did start coming back slowly, and you know, a year out, I was, you know, I could blink again, so I didn't need, you know, I could blink well enough, so I didn't need to wear an eyelid weight, which I mentioned last time wearing. I didn't need to ointment my eye constantly. You know, those were like liberating things. The less I had to do every day, the easier it got. So, you know, working on that slowly came back. That was awesome, just knowing that I wouldn't have a visibly very, you know, sort of like disfigured face. That was a relief. So, but emotionally, I like to talk about emotional stuff, psychological stuff. And looking back on it, I just didn't have a lot of like emotional support. I felt very much in this alone, and like that's like how I knew to handle stuff. Deal with this alone, you know, avoid it as much as possible. I had a young body, so it knew how to heal, so even without my effort, it did an amazing job healing. But emotional support would have been so helpful, because then I would have faced things like, do your facial exercises, you know, like, you got to work at these things. You got to face hard stuff, you know, and I'm here with you. Work on it day in, day out, just do it. I'm here. You know, I really would have liked that kind of support. Which brings me to one key moment, which is when one of my siblings visited, shortly after surgery, and I was so, like, not happy, but sort of relieved also at his show of actual emotion about what had happened. I was lying in my, like, elevated bed, and he sat there with me and just, like, held my hand, and he actually cried and was just, and said, "It hurts so much to see you like this." And, like, no one else expressed this. Like, you know, we didn't talk about how hard this was, like, emotionally. It was so hard. It was traumatic. It was so brutal. Getting just run over by something you have zero control over. Just getting smashed, changed forever. Like that. It was rough. So I'm still grateful to him for actually expressing this, and so that I can have this memory of him doing that, and of the true emotional content of some of these events. Because most of the time we avoided that. We didn't talk about it really. I didn't get to let that stuff out. So I remember that. In terms of hearing, I think it slowly dawned on me, and I think my neurosurgeon might have even told me, like, this is not going to come back. Like, it just doesn't come back. When it's gone, it just doesn't come. We never know, but very likely this is not going to come back. So I still had kind of like the hope that it would, and even discovered this weird thing, like when I moved my eyes side to side, I could hear a slight like like noise in my left ear, the deaf one, which I can still do, and it's still weird, but you know, little things. I was paying attention to every little thing to try to feel like my hearing was going to come back, but it did not. It never did. So, but last time I mentioned trying to listen to music. I loved music, still do. And it being so thin that I couldn't do it. Like, it had lost its depth, right? Suddenly mono hearing, completely different. And it lost its, like, emotion. Weird stuff. I later read about it, and this happens when you lose stereo hearing suddenly. But the thing is, the brain is so amazing that it, like, rewires. And after a while, hearing in one ear has the same depth and emotion impact as hearing with two ears. I still don't hear stereo, obviously. I only have one input, so I don't hear where stuff is coming from. There's no stereo field. I only hear volumes and the quality of sound, which sometimes helps you locate, but I don't actually know where stuff is coming from. But I could listen to music again and feel the impact and the joy and the emotion of it. So that was a huge recovery point for me. So I'll end this stage of recovery with just how I was at the end of it. What I remember, just one little thing. I went from not being able to walk, having vertigo attacks, not being able to go up the stairs by myself, right, to riding my bike slowly for like 45 minutes, relaxed through the like neighborhoods, listening to music every day. So amazing improvement in these months, this half year, 9 months, all the way to a year when I returned back to do my final year of college. When I finally woke up without a headache. I think that's the end of this stage of recovery. But amazing what the human body can recover from. So yeah, there's of course lots more to say, and I think I will do one more video about kind of like the new normal, I guess, that was reached, I guess, yeah, like a year after surgery. When I woke up without a headache, I guess that can be a boundary. Where sort of like a new, where then it sort of stayed like that, had been reached. And talk about the like ongoing kind of like impacts of single-sided deafness and, facial stuff and neck issues, maybe shoulder problems from surgery, all that kind of good stuff. So maybe one more vid in this series. But thanks for, joining me. I hope this is helpful to someone out there, whether it's family members of someone with acoustic neuroma or people with acoustic neuroma considering surgery or after surgery. Whoever you are, sending you lots of love and good wishes for you. Thanks.